Hi and welcome to TRiBE's Toolbox, where you'll find tips, tricks and stories by Black women for Black women. I am Natalie Carter and I'm a commercial real estate lawyer. I qualified in 2013 and have been practicing ever since. Outside of work, I'm the co-founder of Black Girls Book Club, creating a safe space for Black women who love literature, as well as working with urban lawyers to improve diversity in the legal industry. In this episode, we're going to discuss how to get into a career in law, what the process is, and how to get work experience. Working as a lawyer is a daily challenge and no 2 days are the same, but the first thing you need to think about is whether you'd like to be a solicitor or a barrister. Now, solicitors and barristers are both lawyers in the UK, but their roles are slightly different. For example, barristers represent their clients in court and do mostly advocacy, where solicitors can negotiate agreements, negotiate settlements, as well as do more things in terms of working on corporate projects and finance projects, which barristers don't tend to usually do. Now, if you decide that you'd like to pursue a career in law, the first thing you need to think about is the academic side. You need to have A-levels and you need to have a degree. The legal profession is very, very competitive and a lot of emphasis is placed on grades. But don't worry, if you haven't got a 2-1, we can discuss later about what options are open to you and how you can still be successful even with that road bump. So now you have your degree out of the way. And this is the point where you'll need to make a decision as to which route you'd like to take, whether you want to be a solicitor or a barrister. If you decide that you'd like to be a solicitor, you'll need to spend an extra year studying to obtain the legal practice course. The LPC is a 12-month course which basically prepares you for actual practice in law. Once you have the LPC, you'll be able to start your training contract, which is a 2-year training program. In those 2 years, you'll spend your time in various different departments, working for various different solicitors, supporting them on their cases, and in some instances, running small cases of your own. If you'd like to be a barrister, you'll need to complete the Bar Professional Training course. This again is another 12-month course which will prepare you for work as a barrister. After that, you'll need to complete your pupillage. Your pupillage is a 12-month work experience course where you'll basically spend 6 months not practicing, following around your supervisor and other judges and barristers, and in 6 months where you actually get the opportunity to advocate in court. Once you've completed your pupillage, you will then qualify as a barrister. So that was a brief overview of both processes, but we should really take some time to fill in the details. Let's focus on going down the solicitor route, and then we'll go back to being a barrister. As we've discussed, you'll need a training contract in order to become a solicitor after you've had your degree and your LPC. But there are a few things you'll need to do in between then in order to gain experience and actually be accepted on a training contract course. First things first, you'll need work experience, as you'll need to demonstrate that you have a real passion for a legal career and that you're dedicated to seeing it through to the end. Now, legal work experience isn't the easiest thing to get, but there are a few things that you can do to put yourself in a good position. You should start as soon as possible. So even at GCSE stage, you can still apply to work at your local magistrates court, volunteer at your local law advice centre, as well as working for a Citizens Advice Bureau. You can also get involved in other local community projects which focus on educating young people and other people on their legal rights. All projects like this will show your future employees that you are dedicated to the practice of law, and more importantly, that you have an idea of the impact that law actually has on people in the community, as well as on wider businesses. Other things that would be helpful would be to join your local debating club. That would demonstrate that you know how to argue, how to put arguments together, and more importantly, that you are persuasive. A good lawyer needs to be persuasive. You can also, in your spare time, think about things like blogging or vlogging, talking about legal issues, legal developments, anything which is to do with the law or law related. All of these things show that you're passionate about this profession and will look really good for any future employer. Okay, so that's legal work experience. But not all your work experience has to be legal. Anything you do outside of law, such as community projects, running businesses with your friends, running a personal blog, all these things show that you have organisation skills, discipline, and that you're passionate, that you're an interesting human being. All of these things are really, really good for any future training contract applications. Now, applying for a training contract is a long process, and it's something that you should think about from the beginning of your second year at university. That's whether you're studying a law degree or a non-law degree. At the beginning of your second year of university, you can actually start making applications, and so you should be thinking about what type of firm you want to work at, what type of law you want to practice, and more importantly, reminding yourself of why you want this career. Now, it is difficult to figure out what type of law you would like to practice, and so my suggestion is to try and get as much work experience and do as much research as possible. You'll never know until you actually practice, which is difficult, but the more research and the more people you speak to, the better idea you will have. To apply for a training contract is quite a lengthy process. It encompasses a written application, assessment centres, interviews, a 2-week placement, and sometimes numeracy tests. However, it will be worth it if this is really what you would like to do. Now, most people arrange to start their LPC immediately at the end of their law degree. However, if you have a non-law degree, you'll also need to study an extra 12 months to obtain a general degree in law. This is a 12-month course which covers all the basic subjects in law you'll need in order to practice as a solicitor or a barrister. Now back to the barrister route. So we mentioned that you'll need to do the BPTC and then apply for pupilages. Again, you need to be careful about deadlines. In order to apply for a pupillage, you need to make your applications in the main portal that's run by the Bar Association. That opens in January of every year and closes by March, so you really need to be on top of your timings. You'll need to complete an application and attend an interview at your chambers. Now, a chambers is similar to a law firm. It's an organisation that houses barristers who work out of that organisation together. It's different from a law firm because a chambers is not an employer. A chambers is more a workspace that people share together. Now, things don't always go to plan. People don't always get the best grades and things don't always happen as clockwork. However, we can discuss some other options and ways that you can still have a career in law if things haven't gone exactly to plan. There is a different route which we haven't really discussed, and that is qualifying as a legal executive. Now, if you haven't necessarily got the grades that you need for a training contract, this route can be really beneficial and you can eventually cross-qualify to practice as a solicitor. Now, a legal executive can do most things that a solicitor can do with supervision, and it's a really good way to build your work experience even if you decide you want to cross-qualify as a solicitor. Now, in order to be a legal executive, you don't necessarily need to have the LPC, but you will need to have some legal executive qualifications, and these are short qualifications that you can obtain while you're actually practicing as a paralegal or a legal assistant. This is a great way for people to enter the legal industry if they haven't managed to get a training contract or they have some issues with grade requirements. It's also a very fulfilling career, and there are many legal executives across the country. Now, once you qualify as a legal executive, if you have the LPC and you've got 3 years of experience, all you need to do is make an application to the Solicitors Regulation Authority and you can qualify as a solicitor. Now, another option is working as a paralegal. A paralegal is a legal assistant who can do anything from basic admin tasks to complex legal drafting, just depending on how much experience they have and what department they're working in. Now, there are so many benefits of working as a paralegal. It's an opportunity to get great experience, understand what type of law you want to do, and what type of law firm you'd like to work at. Most importantly, you do not necessarily need to have the LPC or the BPTC to work as a paralegal, and it's something you can do while you're at uni and as soon as you finish. It's a good way to get experience and get paid at the same time. Now, I've given you a lot of information. I appreciate it's quite a bit to take in, but most importantly, this career is for everyone, especially for Black women. Everybody knows there's a diversity issue in the legal industry. However, I've worked there for 8 years. I know the Black women that have worked there. And while we are in the minority, there are more people joining us. It's most important for you to think about whether this is a career you really want to do because it's something you enjoy. Don't be put off by the fact that there are diversity issues. There is space for you at the table, and I have had a great career, and I would encourage any Black woman who's interested in pursuing a career in law to go forth and do so regardless of the issues. Now, it will be tough, but it will definitely be worth it. Thank you so much for joining us for this episode of TRiBE's Toolbox. Make sure you like this video and more importantly, subscribe to our channel. Now, comment down below and tell us what you've learned from this video, and don't forget to check out the other videos in the TRiBE Toolbox.